Hey guys, welcome to Montavue Nexus. In this video, we're going to be showing you how to set up your system through the initialization process of the NVR. We're also going to be taking you through a short tour of how the system works, including showing you how to set up motion detection, smart motion detection, and the tripwire and intrusion lines. We're also going to be taking you through a little bit of the display and basic setup. So if you guys are ready, let's get started. Okay, welcome to the Nexus initialization page. Here we're just going to set the password for our NVR, and we're going to confirm that password down below. Next, we're going to set up a unlock pattern. This is totally optional, and this just presents a quicker way to get into the NVR once you guys have it all set up. Okay, hit next step down here at the bottom right. This is going to be our password protection page, just in case you guys ever forget it or it's lost. You can have an email entered here where we can send information to get that password. Or you guys can answer some security questions here and then answer them later in order to recover that password. So whatever you guys want to do, this is totally optional. Once you guys are done filling this out, hit next step down here below. Okay, now that we've set our password, we're going to set up our time and our time zones. Make sure this is all correct. If your guys' NVR is already plugged into the internet, it should automatically have this info. Just make sure it has the right time zone. Daylight savings time, depending on where you live, could apply differently, so make sure that's correct down below. This next part's just the legal stuff. If you guys are all set, on the bottom left is a checkmark area. Just go ahead and left click that, and then go ahead and hit next step. Okay, on the network page, we're going to see some information for our IP address. If your NVR is already plugged into the internet, then this stuff again should be automatic and good to go. You can keep it on dynamic DHCP, or if you want to have the IP address remain the same all the time, which in my opinion is actually a benefit, go ahead and click on static if you'd like that option. And if you guys are offline with your NVR, then you can just ignore this page. Let's hit next step. Okay, P2P is going to have our status as online or offline. This is going to be whether we have it correctly plugged into the internet. And then the QR code on the left side, this is going to take us to a download for the Nexus app, whether you guys are on the App Store for Apple or the Google Play Store. The QR code on the right, that is the serial number for your guys' NVR, and that can be used to quickly add it to the Nexus app once it's downloaded. We can bring this page up later. Go ahead and hit next step. All right, this is going to tell us all the devices plugged into the NVR, so directly plugged in cameras will appear here, and if you guys are running cameras through a PoE switch through the network, here's where you can search and add for them. Go ahead and just click one-click add to easily add them, or we can do it later once we get into the camera registration. Let's go ahead and hit next step if this all looks good. Okay, and the final page here is just going to take a look at the hard drive. We're going to make sure that it's visible, it's healthy, and then it has available space for us to record. If all of that looks good, let's finish out and hit next step. Okay, it's going to take us to the live page for the NVR. This is considered the default page, and your cameras should pop up if they're not already. And we can get started with the tutorial for the rest of the system. Right-click anywhere on the screen to bring up the miniature menu, and we're going to see we have the option for main menu. This brings you to the master menu of the NVR. View 1 will take you to a full screen option for whatever channel you choose here. View 4 will do 4 cameras, View 8, View 16, you get the idea. PTZ control, this will give you the option to control your PTZ camera, directions, auto tracking, presets, all that kind of thing. And then you go into smart panel, this will open up an AI event area on the right side of your live screen. This will just show you basically the equivalent of notifications and stuff. Anytime there's a smart event, the information about that will show up on the right side. And then finally you have AI display. This is going to show you tripwires and intrusion lines that are going to appear on screen. If you guys have those active, you can have them show up on your live view, or you can just have them invisible but still active. Next, if you guys go to one of the individual screens, you'll notice that these icons appear at the bottom. The first one is going to be your instant replay icon. This will just play the last minute to 5 minutes of that particular channel. The next one, the camera image, is snapshot. This takes an individual image of the live view, whatever you're seeing at that current time. The magnification with the plus sign, that is how you zoom in and out. You can also use the wheel on the mouse anytime, and you can just roll it in to zoom in and roll it back to zoom out. And this is wherever your mouse is on the channel. The next little icon is either going to say HD or SD. That is going to be high definition or standard definition, whatever your NVR might be at the time. Sometimes it will switch cameras to standard definition if there's a lot open in order to save computing space. Keep in mind it will always record in full 4K or 2K, whatever you guys have that set to, regardless of what it's showing on the live display. The microphone icon will be if you guys have a microphone hooked up to the NVR, and it's going to allow you to do two-way audio through that particular channel. OSD, this gives you the option to change certain parameters of your guys' channel. Some of these options are editable in other locations. However, it's just a quick way to change things like your channel name and some things like your time just for that particular channel. Just a little easy edit button. And this last little icon is going to activate the audio for the camera. Most of our new models have microphones built in. And so if you click on this, you'll be able to hear the audio that the camera is currently hearing or recording. Okay guys, heading over to the main menu, we need to right click anywhere on the screen for the live view and choose main menu. It's going to prompt you with a pattern or a password. Go ahead and enter that right now. And when we get here, we're going to see 6 categories. The first one we're going to start with is search, or known as playback. Go ahead and left click on that. Okay, getting into playback. We're looking at the camera list on the left side. So the first thing you want to do is select which camera you wish to look at the footage for. Then you're going to select the date down below on the calendar. And then this is the most important. You're going to choose the type of motion. I just recommend having all of these chosen. And you're going to choose mainstream instead of substream. Mainstream is the only recorded version. This is a little bit of a glitch. We're working on making this choose mainstream right off the bat. But just in case this says substream down here, change it to mainstream. Then go ahead and hit search. Okay, it pulls up the footage here in the timeline. And one useful tool I want to show you guys is the right side here. This is a expansion and contraction tool for the timeline. It's going to allow you to get a lot more precise times on there and just be a lot more accurate with what video you're looking for. And if you see here the indicators for the colors, this is what we're looking at. Blue indicates normal recorded footage. Red is going to indicate just standard motion, which could be trees blowing in the wind. It could be dogs running around. Who knows? And the stripes of light blue indicate any smart events like tripwires, SMD, face detection, stuff like that. And then, of course, it has alarm. This is only if you're hooked up to alarm systems through the external connectors. So it's likely you're not going to see much of this. Okay, so if you guys want to click anywhere on the timeline, that's how you start playing the footage. And then as you can see, there's some controls up here for fast forward and frame by frame if you want to go really slow to catch something really precise. You can also do snapshot to export a picture. And then of course, you can export the full resolution video. That's kind of a process, so I'm going to cover that on a different video. If you guys want to see that, I will put the link in the description below, and we'll see you over there. So that pretty much covers playback as far as all of the standard features. Again, like I said, we're going to do the export video. So now that we're good with playback, you're going to hit the right click button to back out of here to go to the main menu. Okay, next we're going to go into the setting area. This is going to be controls for your hard disk drive as well as encode settings and image settings. And this is also where we can find our camera registration. So let's go ahead and left click on that. So the first section here is the camera registration or the channel page. This is where we're going to add cameras that are from your network, probably plugged into a PoE switch. So if you guys want to do that, the first thing we're going to see here is the cameras that are listed already are the cameras that are likely either plugged into the NVR or they've been registered. They should show up on this page. In order to find ones that are not quite added yet, we're going to click on Quick Add. This is going to perform a search of your guys' network. So once it comes up with some cameras, if they are non-initialized, if they're brand new, you're going to want to select them and then press Activate up here. This is going to put the NVR's password and the admin profile on those cameras so that they can work with the NVR. So once that's done and you've added the camera, it should go into the list just like this. Another option here is we can do the one-click add option. This, instead of searching for everything, will just automatically add any IP camera that's on your network. And this will also ask you if you want to add it using your NVR's password or if you want to make a new one. Just keep this checked and always use your guys' NVR admin name and the password. and that should be good. So once you guys do that, you'll see everything adds in just fine, and then you can go and check the live view just to make sure it's working. Okay, that covers camera registration in a nutshell. So next we're going to go to camera name. Again, this is just what it sounds like. It's how we designate which cameras are named what, and it will appear on the bottom left side. You guys can go to your OSD options and always turn this off if you don't want it to show up on the screen. Next choice below is the image settings. And this is the area where we can change the brightness, gamma, all sorts of image settings. Basically anything you guys can do to micro adjust your camera to the best settings of its place. Typically the automatic settings are going to adjust these for you guys depending on the location. But every once in a while, if you just want to tinker and get it just right yourselves, this is where you go to do that. And one thing I want to mention here, if we go to white balance, we're going to see the anti-flicker option. This is if you have the cameras in a really bright environment like the office buildings with those weird lights. This can be applied if you guys get the kind of weird flicker. This is exactly how you eliminate that. Choose one of these options and that'll help reduce flicker or completely eliminate it from your guys' image. One thing worth noting here is if you go to this section under day and night, if you guys have smart light cameras, this is how you would interact with those and choose how you want them to interact with when they detect people or when it turns night and day. So you can choose here to have infrared, then it fills with white light when it sees somebody. You can have infrared completely turned off. It just kind of depends on what you guys want. Anyways, the settings are here for you guys to adjust to your customization desires. Okay, next thing we're going to go to is encoding. This is telling your camera how it's recording, whether it's 4K, 2K, frames per second, if it has video or audio, or video and audio, you know what I mean. So here you choose your camera from the list, and then the settings for that particular camera will appear here. One weird thing though is video and audio versus video here. That is choosing whether you want to record audio. This is the only place you can do it. So if you guys are in a location, I think some states have some weird laws about recording audio. So if you can only do video, then come here to encoding and make sure that video is selected in this bubble. And one thing I want to help you guys out with to get the best out of your cameras and the best image possible is you want to have the highest bit rate possible. Now keep in mind, really high bit rates are going to take more storage, more video data, but you'll get a nicer looking video. So it's kind of up to you to determine the payoff of what fits you guys. But again, you're going to get the best looking video with the highest bit rate possible. It will still look fantastic though, even if it's only at half or a quarter. It's still going to look 4K. It's just going to be that much better if that bit rate's a little bit higher. Okay, moving past encoding, we're going to go to PoE Power Management. This is a place where you can basically decide if you want to put a little bit more power and also look and see what is taking power from the ports. So here we can see I have got one camera directly plugged into the NVR, and it's taking about 2 to 3 watts of power. That's pretty normal. Okay, next we're going to see network management. This is just basic IP address stuff. So if you guys want to come in and give it a specific IP address, change from static to DHCP, those kind of adjustments, you come here, especially if you're not getting an online signal. This is where you're going to want to be to make those kind of adjustments and fixes. Service port, DDNS, and switch, those all typically are not messed with too much unless we're doing hyper-specific networking stuff. Trying to get through firewalls or whatever, so hopefully you guys won't have to mess with this stuff too much, but these are where the settings are. Okay, and finally we're going to have disk management. This is of course where we're going to see our HDD disk health and how much space we have left, all basically stats related to the storage of the NVR. We're also going to be able to format it here. I don't know, in case you guys want to clear a bunch of space off that hard drive, this is where you would come to do it. Under global configuration, this is where we can choose our pre-record times. Typically, you're going to want at least about 10 seconds. And then the storage strategy by default is overwriting. This means that the oldest footage will be overwritten first, so you'll constantly have the latest 30 days or however long you have in your space. Compare this to the other option where as soon as the hard drive fills up, the recording stops until you format the hard drive. So Typically, that's not a very good way to go unless you guys are looking to actually store all of your footage and then actually replace your hard drive once it's filled. That's pretty rare, so it's likely you're going to want to keep this on overwrite mode. Finally, we have record configuration. This is how we set up how our cameras are going to record. Okay, this looks a little complicated, but let me break it down for you. It's actually quite simple. First, you're going to select your camera. Then you're going to make sure it's enabled. And then we're going to choose the recording type. So it's 4 types here. We have normal, motion, alarm, and intelligent. We already went over this on the playback. So this is going to determine if those colors are going to show up on playback or if there's going to be footage at all. And what I mean by that is, by default, everything is turned on. So the cameras will record 24/7 whether there's motion or not. If you guys don't want this and maybe you just want to record just on motion or smart motion, you would eliminate all these blocks under the normal recording mode. But you would leave all the blocks under motion, just like this. Now, if you wanted just smart motion events, you would erase all the blocks from normal as well as motion and just keep the intelligent blocks in there. That way, anytime it spots a human or a vehicle, it's going to record that and put it on your hard drive, and that will also show up on your playback. Now, personally, I like a good mix of this. I think cameras, sometimes it's important to see everything. So if you want just standard recording, you're going to leave normal all the way filled in. If maybe you're gone a couple days of the week and don't need it recording, you guys can customize these blocks any way you want to. You simply just left click any of the blocks to erase them, left click again to fill them back in. If you guys want a little bit more specific timing, you can click on this gear wheel to the far right side, and that'll let you manually put in the times that you want for the recordings. Record mode, we want mainstream to be auto or on for sure. That is manual or auto. And then substream, I guess auto, but this is off. Typically, you don't need to record the substream. It's like a 720 version. It's really low quality. It's really meant just to stream to your phone in case you're in like a really bad area and you don't really have good service. So again, I definitely would not recommend recording your substream because that's going to take quite a bit of space that's unnecessary. And yeah, so just leave it on either automatic or off. And then of course, don't forget to hit the save button below if you make any changes. Okay, that covers settings. So again, we're going to go to the main menu by right clicking. And next we're going to go over the alarm section. Okay, heading into the alarm section, we're going to notice that the primary thing here is the motion detection settings. Now this can be found by selecting motion detection under video detection. To start off, we want to highlight a camera and then make sure that it is enabled. Then we can come down here and set the sensitivity settings, and this region here with the grid, this indicates where the camera will pick up motion. So any location that is covered by the grid, by the darkened squares, this is going to indicate motion will be tracked from here. So if you guys don't want motion picked up on a certain location, you're going to select that with a left click, and you can even lasso multiple squares at once and basically just kind of click around until you guys have the chosen area that you wish to not pick up motion. Now this will affect SMD as well. So make sure you guys have everything highlighted correctly. And once you have that, you can also adjust the schedule. That's going to allow you to set the time that this motion is active. Of course, it's going to be set up as 24/7 to begin with, and then if you guys do want certain days where you don't want to pick up motion, you can go ahead and select here. The final section here is linkage. That is where you can set up what your camera does in reaction to motion that's picked up. So that means, does it activate a siren? Does it turn on a light? Does it send you a message? You guys can set all of these settings here. And just notice that some of these options you might not want. There's the default options are typically the best, but there's things like buzzer. This will make your NVR make a little beep noise every time it picks up motion. So things like that can obviously get pretty overwhelming and annoying pretty quickly. So just be careful of the settings that you guys choose and choose wisely. Before you guys close out of this or move to another camera, make sure you guys hit save in order to save all of the settings that you guys have just adjusted. Video loss. This is going to cover the camera's ability to send you a message if the video feed is cut for whatever reason. So this can be basically sensed when it loses the camera and it sends you a message. And then Video tampering, it's kind of the same thing. It's just if the camera starts to get shaken or covered up, and you know, if it's used to seeing certain pixels really lit up and then all of a sudden it's completely black, this will let you know that there's some video tampering going on. These settings are going to be off by default, but if you guys want to enable them, this is where you would do it. Again, make sure you guys save before you guys move on. Alarm input, so this leads to local alarm. This is if you guys are using the green connectors on the back of the NVR to connect to a third-party alarm system. The settings for that can be found right here to adjust those. Finally, the abnormal section, this has to do with issues with your NVR. So the hard drive alarm, this is if there's any issues with the hard drive, whether it's full or not writing correctly or not detected. This can basically make a little beep noise on your guys' NVR, or it can even send you guys a message through the app. So all of these settings can be found here. Again, with the network alarm, if your guys' NVR loses connection with the network, obviously it won't be able to send you a message, but it will be able to beep and make noise so that you can be alerted that you guys are no longer have a valid connection to the internet. Alarm output and disarming. This is just how you guys can just disarm any kind of motion detection or tripwires that the camera might have, just really quickly without going into the individual settings to turn them off. You guys can just come right here and then go ahead and turn those off and on. That way, it's just kind of a quick one-stop shop for all of your guys' camera settings if it's just overwhelming or just not doing what you want it to do. So again, this is just where you come to disarm the camera as a whole. So this will disable the tripwires, motion detection, all that stuff. Okay guys, this is the AI section. We're going to get into tripwires, face detection, intrusion, and smart motion detect enabling. It also has the AI search function, so let's get started here. So first thing I'm going to go over is actually the smart motion detect. It's the easiest and probably the most common that you guys are going to see. We're going to go down under AI settings and we're going to select IMD. This stands for Intelligent Motion Detection. So first off, you want to enable it for every camera that you wish to have it active for. And then you have basically 3 settings down below. You're going to have the target type, so human or vehicle, and then the sensitivity. Again, Smart Motion Detect is based on the motion detect settings. So if you guys want an area where you don't want it detecting humans or vehicles, you guys can go back to the alarm section and then go into motion detection grid and just scrub that area out of the grid. That being said, this is Smart Motion Detect. You can set it up with the AI by IPC. That means it uses the camera's built-in AI. All of our cameras here have Smart Motion Detect. However, if you guys do have third-party cameras, you can also use the IMD by NVR, and that uses the NVR's AI power to put onto that camera. So if you guys, again, have third-party cameras or some of the old models, you can still use the AI function through that method. So VCA, this is where we're going to adjust our tripwires and our intrusion lines. So first thing you want to do is select a camera, and then we're going to go over to Create Rule, and we're going to click on this. Our 2 options here are intrusion and line crossing. Intrusion creates an area that when entered, it detects it, whether human or vehicle or other, and it can send you guys notifications based on that. The line crossing, that is a single line that can be drawn on the space, and if that perimeter is crossed, then it sends you a notification. Again, that's got human and vehicle detection on there. So let's go and set up an intrusion wire first. First thing you want to do is select the pencil icon right here, and then left click anywhere on the screen to start your perimeter. And you'll notice every single left click will create a new point, and you guys can kind of do this any way that fits the position. Once you guys have your perimeter created, then you're going to right click to get out of it. And then you guys can select the options down below. So the first option here is duration. That's going to be how long that thing is in the perimeter before it activates again. So if a subject is in there for 3 seconds, it's going to trigger after that 3 seconds. And then another 3 seconds, it'll trigger again and again and again until the subject leaves. The next thing is the effective target. You guys can select a person or a vehicle. Sensitivity, this goes 1 through 5, and this is going to vary depending on location. So most people are going to want to keep this at a 3. However, if you feel that there's some line crossings that aren't being detected, turn up the sensitivity. If you guys feel that it's going off too much, turn down the sensitivity. Finally, with intrusion, you guys are going to see the action of appear or pass. I would have both of these selected because you don't know if they're going to just drop into the scene or if they're actually going to come in from the left side or the right side of the frame. you never really quite know. So I would just have appear and pass selected here. Target size filtering. This is just another way to kind of narrow down what you guys want to see. Basically, it decides the size of the object, the maximum size and the minimum size an object can be, and it measures that in pixels. So you guys can play around with this. Again, every camera location is different because the depth's different on what it can see. So you guys can adjust this based on it. But in my personal opinion, I've never had to use it before, and it's never really been an issue. The intrusion and tripwires have the schedule you guys can set, just like motion detection. Linkage also determines what happens to the camera once it actually detects somebody crossing into the intrusion area. And then once you guys have all of those settings acquired, go ahead and hit confirm. With a tripwire, it's really similar. I'm going to create a new rule here, and I'm going to choose line crossing. And this is, again, just a simple tripwire. It's one line. So we're going to left click at the starting point, left click the end point. And then the other option here you'll see, besides the duration, sensitivity, all those same settings, is you're going to see a crossing from A to B or both. That just means what direction the subject should be coming from in order to be detected. Most of the time you're going to want to choose both, but if you guys are store owners or something, you just want to detect people coming into the store, then you would choose A to B, whatever makes sense with your guys' directions. Once you have all these settings input, go ahead and hit confirm. Once you guys have line crossing, smart motion detect, or face detection set up, you can then start using the AI search. Okay, so how it works is you want to come up to whichever you guys have active. So if you have smart motion detect, you're going to use IMD search. And if you guys are using tripwires or intrusion, you're going to use VCA search. Face detection, same thing. So you're just going to come up here and you select the camera and the date. Basically down below, you can select all these options for target, and it'll give you a 24-hour span. So once you hit search, it'll find all the events within that time period. Once it brings it into all these smart events, you can then play the clip. You can import it, export it, whatever you guys want to do. And that is how the smart search works. So that is going to finish up the AI section. The next section we're going to cover is system. This covers the general settings, mostly just the time settings. So as we see here on system, it's pretty standard functions. And one thing I will point out is the ability for the logout time. This is what makes you guys enter in your password every so often. So if you guys don't want to enter your password to get into your NVR, make this logout time 0 and then hit save. That way you can just access your NVR main menu right away and you never have to enter a password. This next item here is user. This is how you create sub accounts other than the admin account. So it gives you the ability to kind of restrict what cameras and channels that they can access either through live or playback here. And then, of course, you can create them their own password and stuff. And this is applicable on the Nexus app, too. So if they log in with their credentials, they will only have access to the cameras that you've chosen. So it's a pretty good little tool if you guys have people working for you that will have access to the system, that you don't necessarily want them to have the full admin privileges, like deleting footage and stuff like that. The date and time, this is automatically kept as soon as you guys plug it into the internet. It gets the automatic date and time from this website. HDMI audio, this only concerns the audio that's coming into your monitor through the HDMI cable. So if you guys want that off for whatever reason, you guys can come in here and turn that and deactivate it. This other portion underneath version, this just has information about your NVR, so you guys can find the serial number, stuff like that here. We're going to back out of this now, and we're going to go to the maintenance section, the final section of the NVR. And here is where we're going to see the option to update the NVR. This is through a manual update. However, our NVRs will automatically update themselves online. So this is probably something hopefully you don't have to worry about. But if there's ever special firmware or something that we come out with, this is where you would update the NVR manually. The other important thing here in this section that I want to point out is the restore factory setting. This is basically a factory reset of your NVR. If it's ever acting funky or just not right, something's weird, some options have been chosen that you can't go back on, this is the ultimate fix for the NVR. So we go down here to restore factory. You're going to have two options. You want to click the default option that actually fully resets your NVR. It'll ask for your password just to make sure that you have it and you are the admin. And then, of course, you guys will reset that. Keep in mind, it does not erase your footage. It simply just resets the NVR to the initialization phase. When it comes down to it, you're going to want to enter that exact same password in there. Don't forget. Otherwise, though, your footage and all that stuff is saved. You'll just have to reset a lot of the motion settings and things like that. So, guys, that covers the tour of the NVR. We're going to have some extra videos for you guys to show you how to export the video. We're going to have another video that covers the Montavue Nexus app and probably the Next Viewer app. So stay tuned for those. The links will be on the bottom as soon as we get those out. And thanks for choosing Montavue, guys. Have a great day.